astrology forecast. This week I want to do something a little different. I'm just going to do it as a weekly forecast. So we're going to talk about just the main points that I see happening this week. Now there is another really important aspect in the sky happening now that I did a whole separate video on. So after this, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on the North Node plus Chiron, and it is the video I did just before this one, it should be. So you can find that one after this, so you know how to work with this energy, because that is happening right now. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is try to fix our volume, because it's not, the mic isn't working right. So let me see if I can fix it here. While I'm doing that, you guys, let me know. Let me know how you're feeling with Pluto and Aquarius. Rakara's here on time even. All right, so let me see if that actually helped. And we'll just see. I think that's better. For those of you listening, how are we sounding? It started off a little rough, so let's make sure. Let me just take a moment and we'll get right into our forecast. Okay, so I think we are good to go. So now that we are good to go and everything is all set up, today we're going to talk about the energy of the week. And I'm really excited about this one because we had the very much talked about Pluto and Aquarius. But this week, even just a couple days ago, we had Mars hit that point, that Pluto, and make a conjunction. And we will be having Venus come in to meet up with them as well. So we have a lot of fun, plutonic, seductive, intense things to talk about in the universe. And I just want to share a little personal tidbit here about how this is affecting me. And feel free, you guys, to share how you were affected or let's see here. That was really my fault this time. Okay, let's see now. Yeah, I know, I think I muted myself. Okay, I think it's better. Okay, I think we're good. Ugh, it's so hard. Okay. I'm going to assume we're good and keep going. So I want to share a little personal tidbit about how I thought this transit was going to do, what I thought it was going to do versus what it's actually doing. Because I personally have Mars in the early degrees of Scorpio, which means when Pluto entered Aquarius, that made a square to my Mars. And that is not really you don't really want, squares from Pluto are hard and they require adjustments. And I have Pluto with Mars and I have the South Node there. So I've been really worried about this transit for a while because of looking at it all and seeing all the things. So far, what happened, and you know what I thought might happen is I'd get really sick, or like I'd have an accident, or something bad might happen to one of my siblings, or I thought I'd have some crazy psychodrama with neighbors or something like that. But what did happen was I have been like insanely obsessed with reading astrology books, which is kind of normal for me, but more than normal. And so I realized that's part of that that conjunction for me in the third whole sign house is that I just can't get enough of it, right? I just can't get enough of it, and I would spend all my time doing it. So that's one way this transit has affected me. The second way is that I have realized some things about my purpose and what I really want that I wasn't necessarily being honest with myself about. Right? So Pluto can bury, but by transit, Pluto will unbury or unblock or unearth things. I really don't want to touch this microphone again. So since Pluto does that, and Pluto is connecting to my Mars, that means it's going to unblock things related to what I want. So you can think of Pluto, if Pluto in Aquarius is aspecting something in your chart, which means you have personal planets at the early degrees of Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, or Taurus, or even the early degrees of the air signs, which would be Libra and Gemini, then Pluto might be unblocking something related to that planet in your life. So that being said, let's go on now to, we'll talk for a moment about what we're going to talk about, what this week has in store for us, and then we will go into the report of the energy. So I'd love to hear those of you who have noticed what's happening for you this week, especially since, maybe, around, let me look, around the 12th, 13th, from the 13th of February until now, because the 13th is when Mars entered Aquarius. So even if you don't have a story to tell, I want you to pay attention to what was happening in your life around the 13th. What were you getting more intensely into? What were you starting to become obsessed with? What was transforming, changing, or being revealed to you, right? Sometimes Pluto transits seem really scary, like we're going to go to hell, right? Because Pluto rules the underworld and it does take you down to the depths of the underworld. But Pluto transits can also reveal things to us that can become a catalyst for healing, or that can become a catalyst for more authenticity. Because when we realize, I didn't really want that thing, I was just telling myself I wanted it, or this isn't really what I like and love. Even those moments where we realize things that we don't want, it sort of can become a jumping off place to the life that we do want. All right. Let's go on now. I want to pull up the chart. Let's get it on here. All right, so we are looking at right now. This is the chart of right now. And as you can see, we have Pluto at 0 degrees. We have Venus at 1 and Mars at 3. So we have Venus. Venus is almost besieged here. So Venus right now is really in kind of a delicate place because she has Mars, which is like the soldier on one side, and Pluto, which is like the demon on the other. And she's just like a little damsel in distress right now. So Venus is going to be a damsel in distress until, I'm going to show you guys the date. We're going to flip ahead until about the 22nd, which means topics related to love and money might feel like they are more under pressure during this time. They might feel like they have more this can be love drama or love triangles, or realizing the person you liked found someone else, or, stuff like that. But it can just put pressure on our love lives, pressure on our romance and our beauty and our Venus is like the feeling of just getting what you want and having it be easy. So when Venus is stressed like this, and being between Pluto and Mars stresses her out, it's just like it's more stressful to try to be beautiful. Maybe money's a little tighter. We're more worried. We're more afraid. We have a bill come due we didn't expect. Things that challenge romance can be happening. DA, perfect timing. Yes. Okay. So, this is what's happening right now as we speak on the 17th, Saturday. So another thing to pay attention to is yesterday, Friday, Venus made a conjunction with Pluto. So first we had Mars meet up with Pluto, then we have Venus meet up with Pluto yesterday, and then Venus will meet up with Mars. So think about Friday, what was happening for you related to love, money, beauty, and your desire to change. Your desire to change or release something or really tap into what your values are, right? Because Venus is also our values. Venus, when we think of money, we often don't think of values. We think of like cash and we think of like what you can buy, but everyone buys something else. When you have extra money, your disposable income, I'm not talking about when you're in survival mode, but when you have disposable income, everyone spends that on something different, right? Some people gamble, some people buy makeup like me, some people buy food, some people buy properties, right? Some people like me also will buy astrology books. Everyone buys something different, right? When they have extra money. Why? Because everyone values, once we've got our needs met, we value different things. And some of us value things more than even our needs, but that's another video for another day. But the point here is, what have you been realizing since Friday the 16th of February about what you want to spend your money on, what you don't want to spend your money on, how you need to clean up things or get rid of things or clear things out, or being aware of what isn't working, being aware of what you want, what are your values in love, maybe realizing recently, whether you're single or coupled, what you don't want in relationships or certain things you want to clear out of your life, those can all be coming up as well with this conjunction. With Mars hitting Pluto and then Venus hitting Pluto, this is going to really be a time where we're purging, right? Because Pluto creates that purge. And purging isn't always bad. It's kind of like if you have a bunch of stuff in your files and it's all old mail that you don't really need and you go through and get rid of it. It's like that kind of stuff needs to be purged sometimes, right? So that we can kind of have a reset. So those are some things, and the other themes with Venus, Pluto are like, I always think of the Persephone story and I always think of being kidnapped, but it's like, I love you so much, I'm going to stalk you. I love you so much, I'm going to, beat everyone's ass who looks at you. It's like, and Venus, Pluto can also be just changing your values, right? So sometimes it really is, we just realize what our values are, or they change a bit, or we realize we don't want this thing, or we do want this thing. So that's what's happening at the moment. That is today, the 17th. So we're going to flip ahead and we're going to talk about what we can expect during this week and when Venus hits Mars. So that's not until the 22nd, but we're going to mention that for a moment, and then we will get into the broadcast for all signs, for what these things mean for each of us personally, based on our rising sign. So when Venus hits Mars, now this is more fun. Venus-Mars is more fun because it's kind of magnetic. If someone has this in their natal chart, it's easy to meet lovers, right? It's easy to find love for people with Venus-Mars contacts in their chart, but it also comes with a bit of tumultuousness in love, a bit of, chaos. So there's more activity, but there's also more of the, all of the drama that comes with love sometimes. But that's kind of how love is, right? Thank you, DA. I will not be doing natal interpretations here today. But what you can do is you can book a one-on-one with me, or, and thank you for reminding me of this, I'm going to start doing video readings again. As of right now, you can only book with me one-on-one for a Zoom call. I'm going to be doing shorter video readings that are less than what it would cost to work with me one-on-one. So if you want to know about those, there's a pinned comment. You can sign up for my email list, and once I have that released, it'll be sometime this week. You can be the first to sign up for one of those videos. That's also good for those of you who are like, maybe you work a lot or you're in other time zones or something. I know some of the people in like Europe and Asia, it's hard to book with me because I only have a couple of those spots per month open. So that being said, this Venus-Mars conjunction is, very much magnetic, right? Because Mars is our passion and Venus is like our desire, right? So Mars is like, if I think of the difference between Mars and Venus, these can both represent what we want. Venus is more of like allure and beauty and like the things we want that it's like, that bring us pleasure. And Mars is our desire. Now that can also be things that bring us pleasure. It can also be sexual, but it can also be like, sometimes you desire something not for the pleasure of it, if that makes sense. Like, how do I put it? That's actually hard to explain. But, sometimes you want something, but it's not because you want to enjoy it. You just want to have it, or you want to be able to do it, or there's more masculine energy with Mars. When Mars and Venus connect, Mars stimulates Venus, which is our desire and our ability to receive, and Venus softens Mars, and it makes it like when we are going after what we want, it's softer and it's more well received. Okay, so this is why people with Mars, Venus in their natal charts are charmers. Okay, they are charmers. And the person I think of the most with this, I think Russell Brand has Venus, Mars, and if you've ever seen him like on any of the talk shows he goes on, he's always flirting with the chicks on the shows. Which I'm not saying he shouldn't do. I made it sound like I'm complaining, but it's just like, not every Venus Mars person is going to use it to their advantage like that, but you can if you have that aspect. Okay, so that being said, I think now is a good time to go into our all signs. Oh my gosh, all signs. So let me just get that situated here for now. So we're going to look on the all signs. We're going to look at Venus, Pluto, and then we're going to look at Venus, Mars. Now, I don't know if I said this yet. There's another video on this aspect, the North Node Chiron. As you see here, North Node is at 16 degrees of Aries, and Chiron is also at 16 degrees of Aries. This is happening right now. This aspect is really active all month long, and it's going to bring up our desire to break through the collective wounding we have that where we're telling ourselves we're not capable. So, and maybe even let go of things if we are participating in dynamics in our life that sort of feed this energy, letting go of those things, maybe even wanting to let go of those people or those connections that are feeding us the belief that we have to try harder because we can't do it, or we're not okay how we are, or other things like that. So, yeah, watch that video after this one. Now, let's go ahead, like I said, on the forecast. So we're going to, let me get my stuff together here. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling? How has Pluto in Aquarius since the 20th of last month been affecting you? Have you noticed it? Do you know what house it's in? And how are you feeling the last month? Anyone feeling pressure to make your life better and fix your problems? That could be happening. Here we go. I'm getting this to Aries. Okay, so like I said, what we're doing now is we're going to do all signs of the zodiac. And I'm going to set a timer for these because I think last time Aries got a short one, and then by the end I'm doing longer ones because like I'll warm up as I go. So I'm going to set a timer today. Josh D is feeling like a slug. How is everyone else feeling with Pluto entering Aquarius? Ooh, Josh D feels like you're going through a life review. Interesting. Oh, also, you guys, I made reels on this. I made reels on Pluto and Aquarius for each sun sign and how it's affecting each sun sign. So if you haven't seen those, you should watch those too. Okay, let's start with Aries. For Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this Pluto, Venus, Mars pile up is in your 11th house of hopes and dreams and friends. So, Venus coming over Pluto can be bringing you some new friends or a desire to, tap into your hopes and dreams. This could be a newfound dream or connecting with an old one, Aries. This can also be meeting new people, meeting new acquaintances. With Pluto in Aquarius since the 20th of January, it can be feeling more drawn to get your friend circle where you want it to be, or feeling more drawn to do like more networking events or to do group teaching of some kind, or go to groups, more presence in group life in general. Now, because Venus for you rules your second house of money, some of you might be, wanting to spend money on a new course or something, a new retreat or anything you would do in a group setting, or something that would help you reach your hopes and dreams. Like, I'm thinking of like, let's say you were an astrologer joining like an astrologer association, or if you were a body worker, joining in a network for body workers, or even doing something in your community where you're, investing in group connections for the purpose of making money, or investing in group life, or investing your time or energy or money into something group related. That's pretty strong for you right now. Also, Venus rules your 7th house of relationships. So some of you Aries out there could be having some relationship drama. Now, you could feel like you're between a rock and a hard place in relationships because you have this Pluto-Mars conjunction here. With Venus being your relationships, but it's like the squeeze is getting put on it. Now, if you're single, this might be more fun, it might be more interesting, but it could also be more traumatizing, honestly, for some, where you're wanting to separate Venus and Aquarius from a relationship because you realize something about it. Some of you might be getting a lot of clarity. This is a good time right now to get clarity on your hopes and dreams. Now, from now until the 22nd, Venus will be moving closer and closer to Mars. And when Venus makes that conjunction to Mars, then we see you really focusing a lot by the 22nd on relationships or friendships. What are your values? What's aligned? What isn't? And, possibly having those realizations in connection with groups of people. In some way, somehow being connected to a group helps you realize what you want, or maybe you meet someone who's like the perfect kind of person. It doesn't mean you're going to fall in love with them and get married. It could be like you meet the perfect kind of person and then they walk away with their boyfriend or girlfriend, but there is still knowledge and like it still could be seen as a gift from the universe, because it's like, it shows you that person does exist. Now you just have to find your version of that or whatever. Also, Mars rules your 8th house of intimacy, right? So intimacy, your ruler of intimacy is hanging out with the relationship planet in the 11th house. I wonder if something about relationships goes public for you, Aries. Maybe this is a time where you are announcing that you are with someone, or they are announcing you, or you're having a baby, you want to make the announcement, or something like that. That's not going to be everyone. But there's something going on here for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, that brings your relationships and your intimate trust into the public or into a group setting. This could be you going to some kind of group therapy or something, or some kind of group transformation, and you're talking about it, bringing it up that way. But it could also be that somehow your relationship is impacting your friendships. It's almost like a trusted partner introduces you to people. Now that could also even be a business partner. So for Aries who love isn't really on the radar at the moment, this can be business partner or some kind of close friend
like bringing you into contact with other people or potential, investors or, potential people to work with in business like that. So that's another possibility of how that can show up. So yeah, Aries, it's all about what you want, what you're dreaming of, and how you need to act, or how you need to kind of stop acting, or possibly even getting some clarity when it comes to what you really, really want, and whether your actions are really in alignment with that. All right, we're going to go on now to Taurus. Let me get us to Taurus here. Okay, so for Taurus, one of the big things for this week is going to be, let's see, is going to be, your 10th house of career. So first of all, Pluto entering Aquarius back on the 20th of January could have you feeling more aware of how your public life, your career, your job is not authentic. So if you're feeling that, it could be totally what's going on. And I mean, Pluto brings that up. It brings up a focus on, is this my role in life? What is my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? And am I living my life in a way that's really making an impact, stepping into my authority, and making the world a better place, with Aquarius there on the 10th house. Now, Venus here, Venus is you. So you just hit Pluto a couple days ago, which means Taurus might be feeling really deep and pensive and thinking about what really matters, and, exploring your own psychology and facing some fears related to what you want when it comes to your public life, your persona, what you want to be known as. For you, Venus also rules your 6th house of work. So this is a transit that's really going to put the focus on, like, is what I'm doing meaningful? Is what I'm doing what I want to be doing? How am I spending my time? And is it translating into the career or the role or the life that I want to have ultimately? And, what do I desire when it comes to my role in life and my work life? Now, for you, Mars rules your 12th house of self-sabotage, and also rules your 7th house of relationships. So it's almost like, am I with the right person? Am I in the right relationship to be doing what I want to do in the world? But it's also, this potential to attract something into your love life at this time, or into your professional life. You might be more magnetic. You might need to turn on the charm a little bit. You might be more able to get what you want related to work at the moment. And again, more aware of what you need to change in order to get what you want, what you need to change in order to really reach the goals you want to reach when it comes to your work life, your public life, and your role in life. Now, with the 6th ruler in the 10th house, it's almost like there could be some kind of public change to your work. Now, that might be you have a new role at work, or you have a new, responsibility that you didn't have before. Or it could go the other way, where you get kind of put on a task that's more, I don't know, cleaning up dirty stuff, or like going in the computer room and like getting all the cockroaches out of it, or like, just thinking of Pluto here. Or if you work in IT, getting all the bugs out of the system or something. If you are a Taurus and that resonates, please tell me so I know I'm not crazy. No, just let me know, because I love hearing it. And that's kind of what shows people that I'm decent at astrology too, when these things are accurate. But you might just feel the pressure around chores you have to do. You might feel like the chores you have to do that you're not paid for, that you're not going to get, anything back for, are just kind of weighing you down, or heavy, or that can be happening. Your work life can be more busy as Venus approaches Mars. This will be through the 22nd when that conjunction hits. Now, when that conjunction hits, that's your 6th house ruler and you, making a conjunction with your 7th house ruler and your 12th house ruler. So this whole time for Tauruses really is going to get deep. It's about facing fears of what you want in your work. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. And with your money ruler here as well at the same time, a lot of time, energy, and money and focus here is going to be invested in your professional life and your work life. So this might be a time where things feel a little out of balance, but that's going to pass. You know, generally when Mars goes through your 10th house, you're busier at work. But with Venus there, it's like you can be busy, but you can either enjoy it more, something sweetens it up a bit. Maybe you have a crush on someone at work, or they have a crush on you, or there's other people at work getting all dramaed out, you know, getting cheated on or something. That can be a thing. But ultimately, Taurus, this week, it's a lot of it's going to be about work. Now, when we're looking at the North Node Chiron conjunction in the 12th, there really is some kind of fear, you know, to overcome related to your work life and your public life. Is like, are you going to go to the next level? Are you going to face the fears and push through something? I would say the timing here is the yes, if you're wondering, should I or shouldn't I? But if you want to know more about how that Chiron North Node is affecting you, go watch my video on that. And we will go on now to the next sign, which is Gemini. Be sure to let me know in the comments, Taurus, if that resonated. So we're going on now to Geminis. For Geminis, this is going to happen in your, let's see, your 9th house of the meaning of life. So Geminis, y'all are getting deep. Okay, y'all are getting deep since last week. Think about what was happening around the 15th of February related to what is meaningful. Now, some of you probably just went and bought a course or a new book or published something or decided to travel or learn another language or something along those lines, because Mars is going to really speed up. You know, Pluto in the 9th now is going to put your focus on what you know and your intuition, developing it. Really, not just the reading all the books, but like the deeper, when you read a book on Buddhism or something, it's not just about the mind. Okay, so this 9th house knowledge is the knowledge that goes beyond the mind, that we know deep in our soul. So it's about that soul level knowing that Pluto's going to probably have you be more fixated on at this time. So with Venus there, that sweetens it up. So maybe just having a lovely meditation, maybe just learning something really deeply that you know. It can also be because Venus rules your 5th house of, you know, fun and pleasure and romance. Having Venus with Pluto, maybe on the 15th, some Geminis could have had a really strong crush or something like that. And it's the thing is, I can't see whether you got the crush or it's like sometimes when you have a strong feeling of wanting someone, it's because they're with someone else. But it's almost like you could see the person you want to be with long term. You could see something meaningful or had a meaningful, even, okay, some Geminis maybe had some kind of meaningful sexual experience around the 15th of February that just makes you feel like life is meaningful now. But it could also be like some other source of joy, right? Because the 5th house rules all kinds of pleasure. But with Pluto, there's something about it that's a little bit dark and twisted, okay? So, I mean, some of you are like, oh, now I know I like being blindfolded or something like that. But like, for a lot of you, this is just going to be a deeper level of commitment to a creative passion or a hobby. Maybe realizing you really like a new kind of playing guitar or something, right? It could be something really simple like that. Sorry. But with Mars here, I need some water, Gemini. With Mars here, it's going to speed that up. It's going to speed up your desire for life to be meaningful and to have more fun and to almost obsessively go after the things that really matter to you, that bring you joy. So this is a good time for Geminis to really be focusing on like what makes you happy. You know, what makes you happy? What brings you joy? What when you do it, you feel like life makes sense. This might also be more like about faith and philosophy and like that kind of stuff. Like, what do you feel about God? What are your beliefs about God? This whole point in the chart is lit up. For Geminis who speak another language, it could be that. It could be you know, speaking another language and feeling like feeling like it's so good or you enjoy it or realizing how hard it is and wanting to study it more, something like that. All right, so now when we get to the 22nd, Mars and Venus are going to meet up. So this is going to be the planet of your hopes and dreams meeting up with the planet of pleasure. I like this for you, Gemini. And this could be you read a book that teaches you a path to go forward with what you want the most in life. This could be a course of study you do. You meet a mentor or a teacher. It could be that where like you find a new system to study or a new faith or a new group of people who are like studying the same thing you are, and it makes you feel a sense of belonging. It could be a trip that you take or a desire to take a trip or something related to other countries or other cultures that gets a little interesting, right? Pluto in the ninth is like people who have this natally, if they travel, they have stories. I mean, stories, like crazy escaping death, kind of just wild, wild stuff. What else can I tell Geminis here? Yeah, it's your ninth house. So it's like, what do you know? What are you knowing to your soul? How are you trusting your intuition? What system or, you know, modality have you maybe recently discovered or are you currently using that helps you to get to that place of what really matters in life and get to that deeper issue of that, you know, and what's your faith going on? You know, for some Geminis, this might have to do with women and something challenging with women or like having to deal with the sexuality of women and maybe not liking that or something around that, like cutting out a woman of your life because of her sexuality or deciding to stop doing certain behavior. And I'm not saying you need to do this. For some Geminis, it's like, okay, you realize I've had enough sex for a while. I need to tone it down a bit. Some of you, it's going to be that on the 22nd because Mars can sever and Venus, it represents women and it represents pleasure. In your chart, it represents pleasure more strongly because it's ruling the fifth house. So like, what are your habits of pleasure and how are they, have they gotten out of control? Maybe some Geminis are looking at that as well, especially because Venus is your 12th house ruler. And so it's like, if there's an addiction going on or a gambling habit or something where you're doing a little too much, this might be a week where you're really seeing that and you're maybe praying to God or praying or getting support to cut something out of your life. That's another way this can show up. Geminis, if you want more on this week, check out my North Node Chiron video after this. Moving on now to the next sign, which is going to be, what is it? Cancer. Cancers, hello. For Cancers, this is going to be happening in your 8th house of sex, death, and other people's money. This is a complicated one. First of all, Pluto being here since the 20th might bring more of a focus on intimacy and getting deeper with people and who you can trust, who you can't trust. But also the 8th house, I think of the 8th house as like where we stretch out of our comfort zone and how we do that. How we change, how we transform when we're ready to like shed an old layer and birth a new one and get out of our comfort zone. That's the house I look at. Now, it's also psychology, so it's like facing fears, dealing with your phobias if you have them, you know, dealing with the things that are challenging. And Mars and Pluto here together are not, you know, not good. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to go have a breakdown or something. But if you've got stuff going on that's not addressed, it might be coming up at this point. Now, this could also be other people in your life who are having crisis and they're coming to you, right? Mars in the 8th does have some challenging connotations to it, but this could be like someone's dog dies and they're calling you. Someone's grieving and they need your help. That's one way this can show up. For others, you are more interested in death. You are more focused on it for some reason, or you're more interested in it, especially with Pluto here. It's like, what happens after we die? What is the NDA? What is NDE? What is totally different things. What are the levels of hell? What is purgatory, right? Like, what is the 8th sphere? What is all this stuff? Where's the layer between? I don't know why I'm thinking of this. I remember asking my brother when I was little if when airplanes flew in the sky, if they went through heaven first. Like, I didn't get it. But this is like the adult version of that, of like, if you fly through the sky, do you go through heaven? If your soul is going up to the heavens, how long does it have on earth to still make contact with loved ones? All of these sort of questions that all of us sort of want to know. Pluto's lighting this up for you and could be pulling your interest into death, into psychology, into the occult, into tarot, into esoteric studies, all of the things that are sort of not talked about at the dinner table. This is also sexuality, and it can also be like money. Okay, so money could be like taxes, accounting, stuff like that. Usually it's either the money thing or it's something else like that. So that being said, for Cancers, Venus here with Pluto, that's going to bring up this maybe a way to go to the underworld or something. Some of you are finding a new path to the underworld. Others, Venus rules your 4th house of family. So it might be realizing something about family, getting to the deeper core of family. Now, that can be your own family, but psychologically, it might be what you need to feel okay, and you just realized a new layer of what you need to feel okay in your own skin, and that can be a good thing. Now, Mars is speeding this up, really making you want to figure this out more or uncover this more. Really good time for like grounding or meditation or journaling or things that practices you use, Cancer, that get you kind of deep into connecting with your own innermost self, whatever you do to do that. That might be talking out loud as well, especially while Mercury's here. So then we have Mars ruling the 10th house of work and career and your public image, also ruling your 5th house of pleasure. So we have the planet that rules pleasure here, conjunct Venus, which for you rules the 11th house of friends and groups. So, pleasure going into the 8th house might be more like focusing on, it can be just focusing on what psychologically makes you happy, right? So that can be sexual, but it can be otherwise. Like maybe you just really love a good novel, or maybe you just really love a good Lifetime movie. I don't know what you all do. Maybe you just love a good serial killer documentary. And I say that because like someone with Mars, Pluto in the 8th natally would study serial killers in their minds and want to know, just be totally interested in it. And what else do I see here? Yeah, good time for like self-reflection. You might be also setting boundaries with your time, because the 8th house and the 2nd house axis to me is like, the 2nd house is like when you're focusing in on your own self, and the 8th house is when you're focusing out on others. With Mars here, some of you might be wanting to focus out more and like just doing something that brings your attention to others more so than normal. Others could be cutting something off, especially by the 22nd, that it's like, or something has a natural ending where it's like, okay, I've researched every psychological serial killer's profile on the planet. Maybe now it's time to stop. Or, I've spent all this time alone with my partner for the last week. Maybe now it's time to go back into regular life again. That moment where you cut it off because you need to. Also, Venus-Mars conjunct in the 8th might have something to do for Cancers with getting a loan or something related to investing, related to your work, because it's like the planet of work is in the house of investing in other people. So you might be doing a role at work at this time, especially as it gets closer to the 22nd, of investing in others, something where you're working with other people, helping them get better at their jobs, or helping them in a way where you're not as visible, you're not being as seen, but that's temporary, so it's fine. But like, you could have a role where you're just, the work that you're doing is more helping other people on a psychological level, therefore not quite as visible on an individual level. There's some things for Cancer to break through here with that North Node Chiron. So if you want more on that, feel free to check out my video on that. And now we're going to go into the next sign, which is going to be Leo. Hey, Queen of Wands, glad to see you. I know I haven't seen you in forever. All right, let's do Leo next. And for you Cancers, make sure to let me know how that resonated. All right, so we're going on now to Leos. For Leos, you have this happening, and we're looking at Mars and Venus and Pluto in your 7th house. First of all, since the 20th of January, some Leos are just more relationship focused, whether you're in one or not. You can have a lot of pressure, especially if you have planets here. You can have a lot of pressure to change relationships, to transform them, realizing you're a new version of yourself and your relationship needs to accommodate that. Now, back on about the 15th, Mars hit Pluto here. So that's your 9th house ruler in the 7th house. So it's like stimulating your desire to have a meaningful relationship. Some of you could have had some realizations about your partner at this time. Especially their family life, stuff you didn't know before, or just deeper things about them that you didn't know. Now, if you're a single Leo, this would be more like realizing what you want deeply in relationship, or meeting someone who maybe spurs some kind of struggle within yourself, or sort of forces you to see something about yourself you didn't see before. You can also just want your relationship to be meaningful, and want to be spending time with your partner that matters, and want to like go deep with them in some way. I'm not going to make inappropriate jokes about that. Okay, so then Venus is here now. Now we're looking at, this is the 17th, what we're seeing on the screen. Saturday. Venus got here with Pluto yesterday, bringing more, hopefully a little more ease to, if you're having deep, difficult conversations with a partner, if they're being confronting toward you with psychological stuff, if you're confronting them, Venus is coming in to make it a little bit sweeter, a little bit easier, and bringing in more communication possibly about whatever is going on. If you're single, Venus is still bringing more sweetness to you, and bringing more focus on like, what kind of partner do you want? What would be the most ideal partner, and how can you have a partner who is like going to support the role in life you want to have? And also with Venus here sandwiched in between Pluto and Mars, we don't really like this too much. And Venus rules your 10th house of career and legacy. So you might be feeling like there's a squeeze put on your career life, your legacy, how you communicate. Maybe there's more urgency right now to communicate something, or maybe there's something to do with, who you're with and what you're doing. It could also be that your work life is more focused on your partner at this time. Or let me think about that. Like their life is causing more instability in your work life in some way. That's only going to be some Leos. But overall, if this was just Venus and Mars, I'd be like, yay, Leos, time to have fun. But we got Pluto here. So it's like, we might be having fun, but we might also be like doing things that are very intense for fun. We might be bringing up plutonic topics. We might be talking about death with our partner. Like, what do you want to do if I die? What are we going to do if you die? You know, it might be like that. Or it might also be like situations that make you feel like you're going to die, but then you feel more alive. Now, I'm not saying that, like, don't flip out and think like, I mean, your partner's going to try to kill you or something. I mean, more like taking risks or having a brush with like, oh, there, you know, something almost happens, or, you know, somehow the topic of death might be coming up in a relationship. But it doesn't, Pluto doesn't always do that. It just intensifies it. So like, are you with the right people? You're going to feel any areas that are not aligned in relationship. And again, is your relationship where it needs to be for the person you are now? That's all going to be focused on as we see Pluto moving through here. And think about what was happening on the 15th when Mars hit Pluto, right? Related to what matters to you and the next quest you want to go on, and where you see your life in the future, and where your partner does, and family, and what that all means to you. What else? It could also be sometimes when you don't have a relationship, 7th house transits are either business partners or your long-term friends. So for some Leos, those things might be applying there. Like, you could have good friends who are just going through the ringer, or having difficulties, or having challenges, having traumatic stuff to deal with. And it's like, that could be happening too. But really, the biggest thing I see for Leos is like, your role in life is getting put under a lot of pressure right now, is what I would feel for almost all of you. And it might feel really intense. And I think on the 22nd, maybe something has to be let go of related to the responsibilities you've taken on in the relationship and who's doing what. Maybe roles are changing a bit here. And for those who aren't in a relationship, still maybe your role in life is changing. So Leos, let me know if that resonated. The Socrates dancing, the NDA is pretty evident. Okay, so going on now to the next sign, which is Virgo. Let's get our timer up here. And Virgos, so Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we have Pluto, Venus, Mars here in the 6th house of, work, chores, diet, and your job, your coworkers. I don't like Venus here, guys. I don't like Venus here because it's almost like, maybe, let me think here. Venus rules your 9th house of the meaning of life, but also rules your 2nd house of money. So it's like your money's getting put under the ringer here. Now, as of yesterday, Friday the 16th, some of you may have realized something about money. Okay, think about what you're realizing about money and your values and how you spend your time and how, what is the most aligned for you. Some of you may have realized that's the way to work with this transit right now, today, Saturday, is let it be okay, whatever you're realizing about what needs to be cut off when it comes to how you make your money, how you spend your time, and what is meaningful in your life. If you realize a job is not authentic right now, that you're right on track. If you realize you need to cut out a certain food right now, you are right on track. And I would expect that when Venus hits Mars on the 22nd, there might be more of a disconnection from something. It might be a job, but it might be something else, right? It might be a job, or it might be a side job. You Virgos sometimes will have 2 jobs because you got Gemini on that midheaven and you don't like just doing one thing, usually. You like if you do have one job, you're going to do a bunch of stuff in the job, right? You're going to be the jack of all trades in that same job, and that'll be really fitting for you. What else can I say? Okay, so Venus being your money. Now Mars stimulates, so it's possible that come the 22nd, there's a cutting off of something financial, or getting rid of possessions, right? Getting rid of things you don't need, getting rid of just, especially things that you don't value. It's like, doesn't mean anything to me. I need to release it. But it can also be, again, cutting off a certain kind of work, or cutting off a certain amount of work you were doing. If you were working overtime, it might be like, no, I'm not working overtime anymore. What else? What else do we have? Pluto entering here is going to bring your focus on how you spend your time. Is it aligned with you? What your daily schedule is like? Is it operating for your highest good and for the good of everyone? Is the way that you treat your body, the way that you get up in the morning, the way that the amount of time you have before work starts, and the coffee you drink or don't drink, or the smoothies you make, everything that you do from the minute you get out of bed to the minute you get back to bed, are you operating for the good of all? Is everything that you do in your life supporting the collective and supporting your ability to make the world a better place? If it is, then good. If it's not, you will become more aware of this at this time. And that's fine, right? Because the next 20 years, Pluto's going to help, quote unquote, help you to be the best at what you do, to be the master at your craft. And so for Virgo risings out there, sun, moon, and rising, who feel like you're not getting enough time to put in to be good at what you do, this might be a time I could see a lot of Virgos being like, all right, we need to clear our schedule and do that thing more. Or we need to really get focused and get serious about making this what we're good at, right? So if you're a musician, this might be a time where you start scheduling your time to do music. Or if you are, building up a side hustle, this might be a time where you realize it's worth it to take on more of the work at a lower rate, so you get to do it more, so you get the practice of it more. There's a real energy of the success of like, are you putting in the time to be skilled at something, right? And that Virgo tendency to separate the wheat from the chaff, this might be a time where you're recognizing what is the wheat and what is the chaff. In other words, what in your life, what skills that you have built already are really going to be the valuable ones to move forward with? And what things maybe do you need to either delegate or stop doing? So I want to use myself as an example, but fill it in with what works for you. This would be like me saying, okay, I'm not going to make YouTube thumbnails anymore, because ultimately I don't want to be a thumbnail expert. I want to be an astrologer, right? So it might be a time, depending on where you're at in life, where you realize there's certain things that if you keep spending your time on them, they will not bring more value to your life or other people's lives. And then there's other things that if you spend more time on them, your life is going to be better, right? And so that might be stuff that is skilled work, that is sharpening that axe, that is getting you better at what you do. But it might also be the little ways that you invest in yourself day to day in order to, when you do show up, be the best person, right? So it might just be giving yourself an hour before you start working, or going for a walk in the sunshine in the afternoons, or something else that based on, how, because Venus is your values, right? So it's like, how are you bringing what you value into your daily life? Venus also rules your 9th house of the meaning of life. How are you bringing meaningful things into your daily life? How are you being spiritual at work, right? How are you bringing your spiritual beliefs into a practical application? And in what ways have you maybe not fully been living in alignment with those beliefs? Or how, what's the next layer for you in terms of, becoming what you believe in, right? So if you believe in, and I'm just going to start calling myself out, right? If you believe in eating healthy and you're not, well, maybe this is a time where it's like, all right, I need to, for my life to be meaningful, I have to eat healthier, right? Or if you believe in exercising or not exercising, or you believe in sitting with your feelings and you're not doing that, right? Or you believe in the Stoic philosophies of like facing the challenging things, and maybe you're, it's like How are you going to make your beliefs practical? Right now is the time where there just might be more focus on that as well this week. And then come the 22nd, Virgos may either have something, like I said, where you cut something off, you cut something out, you cut out sugar, you cut out sweets, you cut out dairy, you cut out things that are rich in your diet. Or this could also be a time where there's a cutting off of something related to work. And for some, it could be a job, but for many, it may not be, right? It could be like you cut off, if you have your own business, you cut off work at 7 p.m., right? Or you cut off your ability to do a certain kind of task that you know is you don't want to be doing. Or you decide, right? Decide means to cut away. So you might be making some kind of decision to even like stop spending on your daily habits, right? So this could also be, Virgos could be like, okay, I'm not going to spend money eating out anymore, or I'm not going to spend money on whatever you're wasting money on throughout your day, especially throughout your day, that can all be showing up as well. Mars ruling the 8th house of trust and intimacy. There might be more trust and intimacy brought into your work life, or there could be something going on with coworkers and maybe getting closer to them or further away from them in some way. That's another thing that can happen here. But we're going to stop there. But I think that's probably good for Virgos. Also, for Virgos, that intimacy is, you could be wanting to unblock that at this time. And if that's the case, you should watch my video on North Node Chiron, because that aspect is active right now. And I have a whole video. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Will it let me go back? No. Damn it. Okay, so like I said, Virgos, go watch the North Node Chiron video. The next time we have is Libra, and I need a minute to get back to them because I just messed it up. But that's okay. Here we are. Okay, so we are going on to the sign of Libra. And for everyone any Virgos, be sure to let me know if it resonates. I always love hearing from you. And Libras. Okay, so Libras, we've got your Pluto Venus Mars happening in your 5th house of the fun house. So Pluto entering the 5th house on the 20th of January is going to bring more focus on pleasure, right? More focus on what's fun, creative passions, wanting to express yourself in a creative way. And it's like you'll just naturally be focusing on this stuff. But with Mars here on the 15th, right, this already happened, but it's worthwhile to pay attention to, because this can be a very relationship, pleasure, love-oriented transit for you, because you've got Mars, which rules your 7th house of relationships, in the 5th house. Some of you maybe got a crush on someone. Some of you maybe are having more intensity in your love life. Now, with Chiron North Node conjunct in the 7th, maybe you are trying to break through a new level of courage to consciously create what you want in your relationship and having your desires be met. Libra is the sign that, of all the clients that I have, Libras are the ones who are going to tell me they've been giving and giving and giving, and they are tired of it. They've been helping their partner with this and this and this, and they never do that thing I want them to do. This is a common thing I hear Libras say. So this might be a time for Libras to say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. Or if I do this thing, I want you to do this, where it requires a certain amount of courage. For others, there's just going to be more focus on pleasure. Right now, you might just be indulging. You might be indulging in sweets. You might be going on a trip. You might be gambling. You might be focusing on growing your business or starting a business. You could also be putting a lot of time and energy into your kids. For Libras who have children, this could be helping your kid overcome something, something that really requires them to call deep into the depths of their soul for courage. For those who don't have kids, it could be you calling on the depths of your soul to courageously express yourself. And it's probably going to be in relationships. You may also just want to do things that are more fun, right? You might just be like having more fun. And that could show up any way you like to have fun. It doesn't have to be going to clubs. Whatever you like to do that you find enjoyable, that could be happening too. Now, let's see what else here. Mars is your money planet. And Venus, let's see, Venus rules your 8th house of other people's money, and they are about to meet up. So Mars met Pluto on the 15th. So deep realizations around money, or possibly investing into, spending some money on something fun or something that will allow you to have a creative new passion, or getting a new guitar, getting a new thing for your already existing creative hobby or form of self-expression. It could also be realizing what needs to go or what needs to stop related to how much fun you're having, right? So some of you, it's like, I've been partying too much, I gotta chill it out. But others, it's gonna be more like, like investing into something that's fun. And maybe it's fun with somebody else. Maybe somebody else is investing, right? Because Venus rules other people's money, and it's meeting up with your money. Maybe you're making an investment with someone into a business, or you're getting a loan or funding or a grant for a business and you're putting some of your money into. Some Libras could be doing that. Maybe you're borrowing some money for a new instrument or something like that. Now, I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't, but Mars is really speeding up this desire, and Pluto's bringing more desire to, how are you authentically expressing yourself? How are you being you? And that's really kind of what I see here. And I feel like for a lot of Libras, it's going to show up in relationships, or wanting to have a new relationship. So for that's that North Node Chiron conjunction really calling you to break through the ways that you've held yourself back in a relationship, especially from getting what you want. So if you want more on that, you should check out my North Node Chiron video, because I talk all about it. And we are going to go on and go to the next time, which is going to be Scorpios, this is happening. We have Pluto, Venus, Mars in your 4th house of home, and feeling okay in your own skin. So, if you want to see a transit that brings a need to go deep into your psychology, this is it for Scorpios, because it's like, naturally, you're already going to be like this, right? You already want to leave no stone unturned and like go to the deep depths of the psyche and do all that fun stuff. And with Mars, Venus here and Pluto here, it's like now that's even deeper. Now there's even more intensity on who you are, how you feel in your own skin, and whether you are feeling grounded or not. Let me think what else. Mars rules your 6th house. So the 6th house ruler in the 4th house could have you really thinking since the 15th of February about, and this will be through February, but like thinking about how does work make you feel? How do you feel when you're at work, when you're doing your job? Do you feel grounded and safe and like calm and good about it? Or what needs to change there? Pluto in the 4th can bring a desire to focus on 4th house stuff. It doesn't mean you're going to be at home for the next 20 years, but it does mean that there could be some focus on your family of origin, where they come from, your hometown. There could be some focus on your own family. If you have a family, what needs to change in that family unit? If you don't have a family, do you want one or do you not want one? That might be more of a focus as well. Now with Venus here, Venus rules your 7th house of partnerships, and it also rules your 12th house of psychology. So like psychology, self-sabotage. So it's like we got some relationship stuff to figure out, whether you're in one or not, the dynamics of relationships and like, oh, how your family of origin, the way it was, is playing out in your life now might be a really big topic that you're seeing. You know, you might see things might be revealed to you that you didn't see before about how you've recreated, right? Because we recreate until we resolve. Like, if you had a parent who ignored you, now you're at a job and everyone ignores you. Or like those kind of dynamics can be showing up, especially with work, especially with feeling like you're doing work that makes you feel like you matter. And all this stuff is coming under review, right? With the sun here, all these planets in that fourth house of home, it's like, number one, is your home how you want it to be? Are you doing more to fix it up and make it pretty? Maybe some of you are demolishing a home, you know, or taking out a wall and putting up a new one, or repainting, or doing something that destroys something in the home, or dealing with plumbing stuff. Some of you Scorpios could be that. Others, if it's not a physical house or properties, this is going to be your own emotional stuff where you're demolishing, you know, and dealing with, you know, just like you would demolish a home and clear it out. It's like you're doing that on the emotional level, emotional purging, and just getting all that stuff up to be healed and to see the light of day and to be dealt with, if that makes sense. So this could also be just you cleaning your room really, really good. And just like, you know, if you clean your room really, really good, first it gets dirtier, right? Because you're finding stuff, or, I mean, if you're like me, unless you're freaking perfect, but it's like you have to bring the gunk up. You have to see the dust bunnies under the bed in order to clear them out, right? You've got to be willing to look there. So it's like that on a physical level and on a metaphorical level of being willing to look in the darkest crannies of your home or of your psyche in order to clean them out and allow them to be, you know, cleared, clean and clear. Now, I think worst case scenario, some Scorpios, I don't even want to say this, but if you're someone who like believes in like entity attachments or stuff like that, this might be a time where you're doing like a blessing or an uncrossing, you know, that kind of thing. But if that's you, you're already going to know. So don't get all scared. But it's a good time for that if you're someone who wants to clear yourself of entities or clear your home of possible, you know, negative spirits or whatever you believe in. This would be a good time to do that kind of work because the planets there are supporting that kind of behavior. Some of you, this might have to do with your parents and like, I don't know, realizing stuff about them that has sheds light on your own inner workings or your own dynamics. And some of you, it's about your current family, if you have a family right now. And, you know, kind of feeling like, is your role in the family authentic? Is it allowing you to be who you really are? And are things how they need to be? Or as a family unit, do we need to do some of that uncrossing and clearing as well? Now, with Mars in your sixth, though, there could be something, Mars ruling your sixth, I mean, there could be some kind of challenge or focus here on like just doing chores at home right now. And again, being busy doing chores at home, spending your time fixing the home, cleaning the home, clearing it, or like I said, destroying something in it. But that's probably intentional. What else? Or like a window gets broken, now you got to fix it, something like that. I'm trying to think of stuff that's more fun here. It really, with Venus, 12th house ruler in that for Scorpio, this is a time to like release your demons, man. You know, see them and heal them and feel it and let it go, whatever that is. So that's what I've got for Scorpios. If you guys want more, go ahead and watch my North Node Chiron video. You know, helping you, that North Node Chiron transit for all of February, kind of calling you toward the right work or work that is meaningful and useful. Moving on now to Sagittarius. Saggies. We've got this Pluto Venus Mars happening in your third house of the mind. Some of you, like back on like the 15th, we're buying obsessively, obsessively studying something or buying some books like I was, or getting really into something you want to learn more about, to a point where it's like, okay, extreme, right? Because Pluto, and it's important to think about that. What were you on the 15th or so, 15th, 16th, 17th? What have you been obsessively studying, wanting to know more about, or doing? Like some of you, maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's information you're putting out there. Maybe it's something you're talking about obsessively. Maybe it's something you're learning about obsessively. Either way, there's probably something or somewhere I guess in some cases it might be somewhere you're traveling, you're going to more, right? Like somewhere you're stopping by after work or something more often because you're like, ooh, I can't get enough of this thing or this place or this, whatever it is. That's one of the clues as to how Pluto and Aquarius, where it's going to direct your energy for the next 20 years. Now, if that is an imbalance and you are like me and you will study all day and forget to eat or sleep or, not want to work, well, then the way to balance this out, you can watch my Pluto in the third house video for the polarity point for how to balance this out. It's important to make sure that you're not just learning something for the sake of knowing more information, trying to fill your mind with all the facts. It's important to make sure the things you're focusing on learning, you're feeling into, you're getting the energy of them, and you're letting it actually factor into how you feel in your soul level knowledge. Now, Mars coming here is getting pleasure from like learning, right? Getting pleasure from learning, getting pleasure from teaching, getting pleasure from speaking and listening, speaking your truth, singing or like doing some creative topic or talking about something you like studying or you like learning or you like doing, so if you are a painter, talking about how much you love painting, or learning about the history of painting or something. And then with Venus here, we also have, let's see, your 11th house ruler, so friends and groups and hopes and dreams in that third house. And we also have your 6th house ruler of work in the third house. So how is what you do for work affecting your mind? That might be good or bad, but you might be focusing on that. How does your daily commute affect how you feel? Now, some of you could just be listening to really good podcasts on your drive or finding other ways to sweeten up the actual tactical wake up in the morning, get ready for work, brush my teeth, all that boring stuff. And even the boring stuff at work might be sweetened up at this time while Venus is here. And your drive, like you might be listening to your favorite music on your drive, stuff like that. I'm trying to find something a little juicier though. So let's look at the 11th house, Venus ruling your 11th of hopes and dreams, put into that third house. Okay, so this might be a time where, especially around, today, Saturday or Friday, the 16th. Did you realize something about your long-term dream in life and what you really want and what's aligned? Are you feeling called to cut off how you communicate or communicate differently or be less busy or more busy toward a hope and dream? Because I would think Venus coming into contact with Pluto here is going to bring you in touch with probably the books you need to reach a certain dream. Did you just recently find a new community or a new book or want to study something new, even if you didn't get it, or a new course that's like really aligned with where you want to head in life? Because this might be a time where we could see that, and we could see almost like an obsession or a desire to go toward that thing. So Pluto might bring you in touch with what is more authentic for you related to the hopes and dreams you want to reach, and really intensify your desire when it comes to that stuff, and help you see also, because Mars is here, what you might need to stop doing, what track, how to kind of cut off a certain track and focus on the track you do want with your hopes and dreams. So if you've been feeling like letting go of something, and like usually this is going to feel, it's going to be like more clarity, right? More clarity, because when we have clarity, it's easy to say no to something because we know we don't want that thing. We want the other thing. So this is a really good time for Sagittariuses to think about what you really want long-term in life. What are your true hopes and dreams? And what do you need to stop doing or cut off or focus in order to really be on that track? You might have more clues this week because that Mars, Mars and Pluto meeting up, it's our earthly desire and our soul desire kind of meeting up and being on the same page for a moment. So it's like if you are someone who has a hard time figuring out what you want, right now is the perfect time to explore this and consider, what do I really want for my whole life? Like, where do I want to be? And Jupiter in the 6th can help you, feel more optimistic about the path. Although there might be some tension here as Mars comes into that square with Jupiter, where it's like there might be some things that you have to reconcile about that, if that makes sense. Like, I thought this was going to be so meaningful, but maybe it's not that meaningful, or maybe I thought it was going to be so great and grand, and maybe it's going to be little, and maybe that's enough, right? So cutting off our grandiosity, cutting off our own tendencies, Sag, I know you guys, because I'm one of you, to really think that bigger is always better, right? So maybe you've always wanted a huge house and you finally realize, I'm okay with a small house. I would actually rather have a small house than that desire to have a big house. Maybe it wasn't authentic. Maybe I just thought I wanted that, right? Apply that to whatever hope and dream is most prominent in your life right now. Where have you been wanting the big, huge, grand thing, but really scaling down and having the smaller, more simple, direct, clear, easy to manage thing? Where is that, where's that happening for you? And communication, again, is going to be really in focus. Again, some Sagittarius, you're just going to want to learn forever and ever and ever. With Pluto in the 3rd house, you already want to do that anyway. But you might be wanting to do it more. You might find new things that sort of help you evolve. It's like maybe you've been studying and learning, but now might be a time where you find the exact book that answers the question of what you've always wanted to know, or the exact course or the exact community that teaches you the thing you've been dying to know, or the thing that will get you to where you want to be. So be aware of that. And self-expression too here with North Node Chiron in the 5th of, where do you want to be yourself right now, but you can't? Where do you want to have fun and experience life? What creative passion or hobby or fun thing have you been feeling like life is just beckoning you to do? If you want more on that, watch my video on North Node Chiron, which is happening right now. So we are going to go to the next sign, which is Capricorn, and I want to check in on the comments. Thank you, Rikara. Thank you, Rikara, for all of your comments. And hello to Pluto. Hello to Queen Leo. Hello to Anarbun Halder. Sorry if I said that wrong. And welcome to anyone else who is here and maybe just hasn't commented yet. I'm so glad to have you guys with me today. I did a live last week, and at the end of it, I was like, that wasn't enough. And I missed being on here, and was like, I gotta go live longer next week. So we are doing a longer one. All right, so we are now going to be on Capricorn. If your sign has already passed and you're jumping down the live, there will be timestamps. Eventually I will put up afterwards. But keep in mind, I do these myself, so this takes me time. You can always see, the sign on the ascendant in the video. That tells you. But going on now to Capricorns. For Capricorns, what we have happening here is Pluto, Mars, Venus here in your second house of money. This is a money transit. First of all, Pluto coming into your money house on the 20th of January, being like, hey, where are your finances aligned and what are your values? And how is your life based on your values? Now, with Mars hitting Pluto back on the 15th of February, what were you getting rid of, right? Maybe this could be Capricorns getting rid of stuff, cutting off sources of income or cutting off spending, right? Possibly, but more likely cutting off a source of income or getting really serious or realizing how a certain source of income needs to be different for it to really fit in with your life or be long-term or be more authentic. Some of you might be in a stage where you're ready to take what you do for money and like intensify it or bring it to the world or make it accessible to more people, especially with your 11th house ruler in the second house. It's like this could be a time also where friends or communities or colleagues or groups of people somehow support you financially. You get money from the people is kind of the thing. So that if that's true for you, think about what was happening on the 15th when Mars hit Pluto, because it kind of tells you a little bit about really the next couple of years related to your desire for wealth and what new beginning is kicking off related to that. Now, when Venus came in yesterday, so Friday night, today is Saturday, Venus is now with Pluto. Now that can be sweetening this up. You know, it can be bringing in a sense of putting your creative energy toward money, putting your creative energy toward self-employment or getting money on the side or something that will allow you to invest into the things that you want to have. Venus also rules your 10th house. So this is kind of a good, it's like good, bad, and ugly is how I feel about this one, because on one hand, there's a potential to just be bringing in money from the work you do, period. Okay, so it could be that. For some of you Capricorns, you're like, yep, I got that bonus or I got that, made that sale or whatever. For others, though, the reason I say good, bad, and ugly is because we have Venus is good, we have Mars is bad, and Pluto is ugly. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're all together at the same time. So some people, some Capricorns might be feeling a financial gain and a financial challenge at the same time. You might be feeling the squeeze put on your professional life or your role in life. Now, let's imagine you are a Capricorn who maybe is retired, or for whatever reason, money is not a big thing in your life. It just is what it is. Either what can be happening is when there can be changes to that, or there's a squeeze being put on your role in life. Up until now, you were known as this, and now there's a change here, or there's pressure to change. That could be from a partner, it could be from yourself, or from the fact that whatever you've been doing up until now, maybe it's not getting the same results. Maybe it's time to change your role, you know? And I think of like, a lot of you Capricorns, this is not going to be you, so just take the metaphor of this. If you've been a dancer your whole life and now you're like 50 and you're like, I don't really want to dance anymore. Some people might still dance, right? But for other people in certain jobs, it's like there's a time where that doesn't feel like it makes sense for you anymore. This might be a time like that. Now, for other Capricorns, it's like you're sending your kids off to school and now you have a new role to figure out, or something else like that. But for some Capricorns, I'm feeling like there might be some pressure from family dynamics that are sort of putting a squeeze on you from other people. It's almost like you have your friends on this side and then your family on this side, and they're all saying, do this with your life, do this with your life, do this with your life. Let me know in a comment if that is what's happening. Or it could be you being like, I need to reach my hopes and dreams and support my family. And it's that internal pressure being put on your 10th house, your role, your public life, whether you have that promotion or not. But I do feel like overall, there really is a lot of potential for Capricorns to, you know, it's almost like Pluto in the second is almost like the rags to riches, you know, aspect. But since it's transiting, you know, it'll put your focus on money, usually. but it's also like what you're doing independently with your own thoughts in your own life. So there might be a push toward being more independent in your work right now. You might be feeling pressure around that. And I think around the 22nd, this could be a change or a cutting down or a paring down of your responsibilities at work or your responsibilities when it comes to your role in life. So again, this could be for those who working at a job isn't your life focus at this time, there can be a paring down of your responsibilities. Again, like a kid goes off to school, your role of helping them is no longer the way it was, right? There's a cutting off there. So severing something at work. Now, again, it doesn't have to be leaving a job for your own thing. It could be, but it can also be your duty over here now gets removed and you don't have to do it anymore. Something like that. Could be happening as well as your hopes and dreams contribute to making money. And it also, especially for Capricorns who've been working hard for a long time on something, this can be a time in general where you start getting some kind of rewards financially. It's like you start getting money from the work you've done up until now. So that's going to depend on a lot of things. But that's kind of the gist of it for Capricorns. Now, you have the North Node Chiron in your 4th house. And if you want to know more about what this is doing, you can check out my video on that. We're going to move on now to the next sign, which is going to be Aquarius. All right, so for Aquarius, Pluto, Venus, Mars are in the house of you, your 1st house. Which means for the next 20 years, Pluto's just going to slowly work on changing your identity. So if you've been feeling like you need to change or you're in the midst of a change since last month, this will continue. And oftentimes, people with Pluto in the 1st house natally, they're going to be the people who are always trying to figure out what makes them special. There is a need to figure out what makes you special when Pluto is going through your 1st house. So there might be some focus on what is unique about you or getting into your own psychology, learning how you tick, learning how you specifically and really focusing on how you can make the world a better place through your work. This is strong for the next 20 years because Pluto rules your 10th house of career and it's in your 1st house of your life. So your life can be more career focused and it's in Aquarius. So your life can be more focused on using your role in your job, in your life, in your work to make the world a better place. Now, with Mars hitting that Pluto around the 15th, that would have caused, bring in 3rd house topics and really stimulate that Pluto. So think about what's happening around the 15th. What were you diving into learning about yourself? What were you thinking about for your next steps? What's been on your mind related to how you want to change your appearance, your identity, your relationship, where you live, big stuff like that, or your job. Now, I'm not saying you're all going to stop working somewhere right now, but some Aquariuses may have had a job change happen on the 15th or around then. Others, maybe a change to how you show up at your job, or again, like a release of certain responsibilities for what your role in life is and a cutting off of that. And that could be initiated by you because you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not driving you to choir practice anymore, or drive yourself or something like that. But it could also be something that like from the top down, like from a manager, where it's like, this is no longer your responsibility. You have less to do in this respect. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know by this chart. I just see the energy of cutting off something related to work. Now, for others, it could actually be working more because Pluto speeds up. Mars speeds up Pluto. So Mars is speeding up the 1st house. A lot of you Aquariuses, since the last few days are going to feel more busy. And that's really normal when Mars goes through your 1st house to just be more busy, be more active. You're moving, you're doing some kind of extra project in life that is taking more of your energy. Now with Pluto here in the 1st as well, some Aquariuses during this time are going to have more, there's personal brand energy here. Not all of you have a personal brand. For those of you who do have a personal brand, there may be more focus on that personal brand and like how you are the face of a company. That's not going to be everyone, but this is an aspect of like being the face of a company. It's like an aspect of, being the one who people see, being the one who makes the first impression for a thing. So if you're an Aquarius and you're like, you've been coming out of the shadows or something, that might be why. Now let's talk about Venus here for you. Venus rules your 9th house of the meaning of life and your 4th house of home. So these two planets in the 1st house mean you're going to be focusing on what makes your life meaningful. And even think about Friday and Saturday. Have you realized anything about what's missing related to how meaningful your life is or what needs to be done? Have you started a new course of study or decided to travel or learn another language, Aquarius? Have you, because the 9th house would be like other languages and it's in the 1st house of you. So it's like, and Venus, Venus is appearance. So are you doing a glow up? Are you totally changing your hair? Are you learning a new language? Are you going to start speaking a language you've already been learning for a while? Are you going to make a trip to somewhere you've been wanting to go? Something like that. It just feels like a time where, Venus makes you more connected to who you want to be, who you want to enjoy being. Who do you want to enjoy being, Aquarius? And, that 4th house ruler does bring topics of home and family and belonging into that 1st house of identity. So you might be making some good first impressions. If you want to make a first impression, now might be a really good time to do it. Keep in mind, though, when Mars goes through your 1st house, especially if you know the degree of your ascendant, when Mars hits your ascendant, this is the time people tend to challenge us. And how big or bad that challenge is kind of depends on a lot of things. But you could just be a little bit more, you might want to brace yourself for that need to defend yourself, or sometimes people will kind of take shots at you, so to speak, when Mars crosses your ascendant. It's like you're the target of their, Martian desire to fight. Someone will want to kick your ass or something. Not everyone is going to get their ass kicked. Calm down. Usually it might just be a sibling who's like, hey, you should be doing this, right? So chill, don't freak out. But I will say that, again, and it could be you, like you're a little more defensive right at this time, or you're like, there's something you want to guard. That's another way that can show up. So there's also a focus here on your communication with North Node Chiron in the 3rd about where are you stopping yourself from saying what you really want to say, and where are you bringing up the courage now to say what you want to say. If you want more on that, watch my video on North Node Chiron where I talk all about it. And now moving on to last and definitely not least, beautiful Pisces. Okay, so for Pisces, we have this happening in your 12th house. So Pluto, Venus, and Mars in the 12th house. Now, I don't love Venus in the 12th. I'm just going to tell you why. Sometimes you lose money. And even if we set aside Venus here, actually, let me rephrase that. Sometimes you lose money. Sometimes you're uncertain about money. And with your money planet in the 12th house, you might just have more fears around money coming up at this time, okay? Especially since when Mars entered Aquarius and was conjunct Pluto, that would have been the 15th of February. And, so think about 15th, 16th, what was coming up that brought up some money fears for you? And then now, the 17th, this is the chart of the 18th, but today is the 17th. Actually, let me see if I can go back to make it the right day. I don't know if I can. That didn't do what I wanted. Yeah, it did. Give me a second here, guys. I'm just going to start Pisces over. Okay, so we have Pisces. We're on the 17th. Of February, and we're looking at Pluto, Venus, Mars in the 12th house. So for Pisces, you're going to see more focus on 12th house things, such as addiction and recovery, such as mental health, such as spiritual life and spiritual guidance in the dark night of the soul and spiritual problems, right? And solving those spiritual problems and the whole world of the unseen spiritual stuff. So that's a lot of things. For some people, it might take the form of like spirit guides. For others, it might be more like deep esoteric knowledge and dream states and like archetypes and what they mean and stuff. It can also be meditation in your own personal quiet time and what you learn and do in that quiet time. So if since January 20th, Pisces, you have wanted to meditate more, face your fears more, be not just be alone, but like spend your alone time diving into the spiritual world in some fashion, that all really makes sense with Pluto here, where it's just going to bring your focus to your subconscious mind. It's going to bring your focus to rituals and spell work and like your guides and angels and all of that stuff that anyone could say, oh, that's not real. Any of those things, any of those spiritual things that are unseen. Now, for some of you, it might bring a focus to, again, addiction or recovery or mental health, and that might be yours or somebody else's. Now, Mars coming here on the 15th, Mars rules your money house. So Pisces may have had some kind of realization around what you're really afraid of with money around the 15th, 16th, even into now where it's like, are you afraid of what you want financially? It's like, do you want to make money in a way that is something that scares you or challenges you? For some Pisces, do you want to make money off spiritual work? Because if yes, might be something here, right? There might be something here to focus on that's like maybe you've just dived deeper into how you can make more money off of spiritual work or how you can start charging for something or how you can like something deeper that you've realized, especially if it's like how to face a fear, right? Like how to face a fear of what have you been afraid of, maybe realizing how some deep subconscious fear has stopped you from making money. Pisces, let me know if that makes sense for you. Because Mars is like stimulating your Pluto. Now, for some Pisces, it might be just making the fear more. Like, I'm afraid to have money. If you are someone who's like, I'm afraid of what I'll be like, if I'm afraid of becoming that person, right? Mars could have you cutting off ways that you don't want to make money, if that makes sense. So if you're like in a mastermind and they're trying to pressure you to charge them $1 zillion and you're like, I don't want to do that. You know, it might be that kind of thing where Mars is cutting off that. And there may be a fear, or it may just be because it's like, it's not worth it, right? It's worth the loss. And the 12th house does sometimes indicate loss, but sometimes it's like, well, you chose not to try. So it's not like a big loss. Sometimes it can be you lose something, but it can also be that like there's just a need to cut it down a little bit. There's a need to simplify or make things quieter or move slower or, 12th house times are like, I'm okay with not making as much money right now and just enjoy my life, right? And I think of like, right, like a teacher in the summer, right? Where it's like, I'm not going to do summer school this year. I'm just going to have the summer off or something like that, where maybe it's living in alignment, but there is a loss of money. Okay, so what else? We have for Pisces, the 8th house of sex, death, and other people's money in the 12th house. What could this be? So, well, there is like an intimacy factor here when we have the 8th house ruler in the 12th, because in ancient astrology, the 12th house rules bed pleasures and the 8th house has a sexual meaning too. So some Pisces might be focusing more on their sexual life or their intimacy, or even combining sex with spirituality. So like Tantra or something else like that. Not everyone's going to be doing that, but that's one way that could show up. Now, also, Venus in the 12th can bring friends that are 12th house like, right? So this can be a time where you make spiritual friends. You connect with someone who's really, really psychological. And it doesn't feel like a lot of friends. It feels like one friend, one private friend, right? Or you have like some deep private spiritual or philosophical conversations, either in person or with people online, where it's like 12th house conversations are like, ooh, I met my spirit guide. What's your spirit guide's name? Or like, oh, I had a dream last night and I connected with this archangel. Like sort of these like more private, like I said, private spiritual conversations that are, Venus really sweetens it up though. So it's like there's pleasure in this. There's pleasure in these deeper psychological conversations. And again, for some Pisces, you just meet a person or you connect with someone in your life who wants to talk about their deepest fears and hypnotherapy and Reiki or streams of consciousness, things that are 12th housey. So again, 12th house being that deeper spirituality that is sort of that invisible layer of life that people don't always see unless they're really attuned to it. Now this can also be, Pisces might be wanting to clear your physical things, clear your space, bring spirituality into your possessions, right? Because the second house ruler is your stuff. And if your stuff is in the 12th house, some of you are just going to get rid of some stuff. You're going to make a trip to Goodwill, and it's going to be like a normal everyday thing. For others of you, you're going to get weirder about it. And what I mean by that is like finding a way to clear your things of demons or like, have you ever learned how to like clear the energy of a home and stuff like that? Some of you Pisces out there are going to be doing this. You're going to want to like clear your home of things, or like clear your tarot decks of spirits, or like do uncrossing of your house, or like other kind of ritualistic things to like literally clear your possessions of evil spirits, or again, other things that are unseen. What else? Let me see here. So we did 8th ruler. We did, it's also your 3rd house ruler in the 12th. I'm trying to think of a positive way. Some of you, okay, the best way I could see this playing out for Pisces is like maybe you talk less. Maybe some of you do like a silent retreat, or you practice being silent for like, I don't know, a couple of days or something. Maybe some of you or longer, but it could just be like choosing to consciously direct your words to the unseen, praying more, talking to spirit guides, and Mars kind of speeding this up, right? Because Mars stimulates, it brings a lot of energy toward a thing. So your 3rd house ruler of communication and the mind into the 12th house. Some of you are just wanting to learn more about spiritual things, or and not just learn about them, but learn about them to make yourself better and make your life better. And Mars just brings that desire even more and makes you willing to spend money on that and invest time and energy into that. So, for Pisces, it's a very spiritual week in the cosmos for you. And it could be also intense psychologically, in the sense that it's almost like getting quiet to hear the inner demons. And I don't use that word as a scary one, but like sometimes when you have an addiction, or like it can be a soft addiction where you're just like zoning out watching YouTube videos all the time, right? It doesn't have to be you're doing coke and hookers every day, but either way, when you have something running like that and it's just kind of running in the background, it's sometimes we avoid getting quiet because that makes it easier to just stay with that pattern. And this might be a time to do like a social media fast, or like do things to practice quietude, practice stillness, so that the loudness, and just by disconnecting from the loudness of the busyness of everyday life, because this could be what this Mars Venus is, because Mars can be cutting off forms of information and communication temporarily, or, maybe you can't reach your sister or brother for a couple days for some reason or something. But some of you, it might be more consciously directed, where it's like, I'm going to just chill. I'm going to stop with the busy, busy, busy mind all the time and just chill, feel, heal, accept things as they are, and let the demons be revealed to me. Let the demons not be fed, stop feeding the demons. And again, by demons, I just mean like, addictions or desire to do things that aren't really good for us. And that part of ourselves that wants to run away instead of check in, ways we've been checking out. This is a transit for Pisces of checking in with all these planets here piling up in that 12th, checking in to make your life better. So that's what I have for Pisces. If you want to know more about how this is affecting your money, you should watch Chiron North Node, because that video is going to tell you all about your next sort of breakthrough when it comes to this transit that's happening all February, but really active right now. All right, so I'm going to check the comments now. And let's see. Oh my gosh, Josh says, I love it when this happens. I was just Googling how to clear my space or myself from entities. That is amazing. And we know you're a Pisces, right? Let's see what else. Spot on with the meditation. Yes. And oh, and he also has natal Pluto on his ascendant. I'm not sure who that is. But that's okay. Okay, guys, so other announcements. First of all, if you're just jumping on, we have covered the week in the astrology, and we've covered it for all signs. So you can go back and watch for your sun, moon, and rising, keeping in mind that your rising sign is going to be the most accurate. It's going to be the most, usually it's going to tell you the most about what's happening in the physical world. But man, I can't tell you how many times the moon or the sun have just blown me away too. So watch all three. You can totally watch all three. Ooh, here's another comment. I've been practicing clearing my house and uncrossing a lot of intense energy with an Aries 3-year-old in the house. Yes. And that's who, okay, he has, now I'm putting it together. Thank you. He has natal Pluto on his ascendant. Yes. Okay, so then other things to know are, number one, there's a Chiron North Node video. That energy is happening right now. I did it last week, so we'd have a little preview and a little heads up. But even if you watched it, you should go watch it again because you should watch all my videos over and over. But no, because it's more acute at the moment. And so it can kind of help with that Chiron North Node video to know where to kind of push through, where you might get some rewards right now for pushing through, and to make sure you're not kind of holding back in this area. Because with Chiron, we have a tendency to hold back and to sort of block things because they're painful. But with the North Node there, it's like we'll want to unblock the thing, and there's more energy leading us to that. So it's a good time to kind of, go with that, especially in areas of life we want to have more courage, have more confidence, be more like an Aries, and do what the fuck we want with our lives, and live on our instincts and trust our instincts and trust ourselves to make the right decision in the moment, instead of doing what I sometimes do, and I know a lot of you guys do, which is like, wait, am I making the right choice? Am I gonna, I love you guys so much. And what I've noticed is a lot of the people who book readings with me, and some of you guys on here watching, it's like we're so afraid to make the wrong choice sometimes. We're so afraid that if we don't make the right choice, the gates of hell are going to crash down, and we're going to fuck up what we've, tried to master in other lifetimes. And we're going to miss out on the stuff we were supposed to learn in this life. I know a lot of you feel that way. You want to make the most out of your chart, but you also, a lot of you, want to build on what you've done in other lifetimes, and you don't want to waste it, right? You don't want to waste it. So let's not waste it. Let's not waste it and watch that Chiron North Node video to help you do that. Now, other announcements. One announcement that I'm pretty excited about is I'm going to start offering video readings. Currently, you can only work with me one-on-one through a Zoom call, but I'm going to start offering some 20-minute video readings for like energy check-ins or natal chart readings. So if you're interested in that, what you need to do, because I haven't released these yet, is you would want to, there's a link in the comments. There's a link in the chat. If you're watching afterwards, there's a link in the description to get on my email list. So if you get on my email list, you will get notified first when these come out. And so I don't know how booked up I'll get right away. So if you want to be one of the first to know about these video readings that I'm doing, you should definitely get on the list so that, again, you'll be one of the first to know, and you'll get all my other emails about all kinds of stuff, which is sometimes it's just, stuff I think and feel. And other times it's like telling you I'm going live, and other times it's I'm running a sale or have a course that you can get at a lower price or something. So that is what you get if you're on my email list. And thank you all for being here and for, being a part of this community. And, it really is my goal to help you guys make the most of your chart without getting all crazy into toxic positivity, right? Like this channel is all about trying to bring more awareness to how to work with your chart, because I noticed when I was learning astrology and watching other people's videos that, man, I would watch some videos and it would be like, this aspect sucks so bad because of this and this and this and this. And that was the whole video. And I remember being like, gee, thanks. It just like, I know you guys want to work with your chart, and sometimes part of healing our chart is just seeing the good in the thing, and seeing the good in ourselves, and seeing the good in our chart, and seeing the good in others. And for me, astrology has helped me do that. It's helped me accept parts of other people that before astrology I found hard to accept. It's helped me to know what planets to work with to bring more balance in my own life. And there's just something about the phrase "as above, so below," where when we realize things about the astrology, we're realizing things about ourselves. And I should add, Aardquark, is that how you say it? I should add more book recommendations, because I got some book, I don't know which ones I recommend, maybe Jan Spiller, but man, I'm just going to go off on this and ramble for a minute. Some of my favorite books right now, I guess I'll say authors, would be Liz Green and Howard Sasaportis. I'm not sure if I said their names right, but I started with their book on Saturn, which is fine, but some people have a hard time because it just tells you the challenges. But man, it gets into the challenges. And then now I'm reading their book called Inner Planets, and oh my God, first of all, I feel seen, and I posted this on my Instagram. I'm going to tell you guys about it. I'm just going to, I think it's gone. It's because it was on my story. Let me tell you why I feel seen. Because it says Mercury was like restless since the day he was born. And I just was like, oh my God, I feel seen. And it's hilarious because I'm a Virgo rising. So if you're a Virgo rising or you're a Gemini rising, Mercury is going to be you in the chart. Mercury is going to be the planet that represents you. And so whatever your rising sign is, find the traditional planet that goes with that rising sign and learn about the mythology, because you will feel seen. Okay, and sometimes it's in those myths that we can see ourselves in a different way, because it's one step removed from our actual life. And it makes it actually, I think, easier to go deeper into the self-work when we're looking at it from the mythological perspective or the metaphor, because it's not quite as confronting. Oh, Adam. Okay, perfect. It's Adam. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna leave it here for today. So again, just to wrap up, if you're just jumping on, we do have the report already done for all signs, so you can go back and watch. If you haven't seen the Chiron North Node video, watch that one. And then if you haven't seen the Pluto and Aquarius video, watch that one. So just like keep watching the videos, but really do it because that they're all put together kind of tell us the story of what we're dealing with now that Pluto's in Aquarius, Mars and Venus are here, really kind of ushering in this new, almost new era, right? Because Pluto, aside from a couple months this fall, Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years. So we're going to see these themes, right? And whenever a planet hits another planet, that's the beginning of a cycle. So we just now had the beginning of the Mars-Pluto cycle now in Aquarius. And then we just had the beginning of the Venus-Pluto cycle. So these are beginning new cycles in our lives related to our desires, our earthly desires and our soul desires, what's really motivating us, what's worth sticking it through for, what we care about the most, and what we love. So it's an exciting time in the astrology. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you are, because in the next coming weeks, we're going over the eclipses. So watch for those videos, and much love to you all on your spiritual journey, and I will see you all in the next